You will do fine somewhere else." He slid the box across my desk. I took the box. I kept the numbers. 6 weeks later, the contract he needed had my name on the last page. "My name is Thomas Blake. I am 58. This is how replaceable became expensive. Sit back and let me tell you my story and how I got revenge. Before we get too far, please subscribe and tell me where you are listening from." The day he let me go, the office smelled like burned coffee and printer dust. Payroll week, quarter end, the kind of week you do not pick for a goodbye. He said, "Family first," and nodded toward his nephew in a new blazer. Fresh haircut, fresh smile. I shook the nephew's hand. It was warm and soft. He said he was hungry to modernize. I carried the box to the elevator and kept one thing in my pocket, a folded list. It held 10 dates and 10 tasks. Bank covenant test. Borrowing, base due. Sales tax filing. 941 deposit. Vendor, aging. Credit limit review. Audit pre-work. Lockbox sweep. Insurance proof. Renewal on the biggest customer we had. The elevator doors closed. I breathed. I pressed floor 1. I pressed start on a different plan. I went home. I set the box on the kitchen table. I opened a yellow notebook and wrote 3 lines. What do I know? Who needs it? When do they need it? I wrote for an hour. Then I made tea and read what I wrote. I did not feel anger. I felt work. The next morning I filed a simple form online. Blake Ledger, LLC. I chose a plain name. I did not need clever. I needed clear. I got an EIN. I opened a small business account at my credit union. I asked for a checkbook and an ACH setup. The teller smiled. "No rush," she said. I smiled back. "I am on a clock," I said. I made one call, not to my old boss, to our largest customer, Landon Tools. They make parts that do not fail. They like numbers that do not lie. I had filed their vendor packets for years. I knew their fiscal year. I knew their renewal date. I knew they needed a clean compliance letter each spring, or the purchase order system locks. Their controller, May, always sent the same email. "Please attach the letter and the current insurance cert, thank you." I did not ask for work. I asked a question. "May, has anyone sent your renewal packet from Thompson yet?" She sighed. "Not yet. Your name is still on the old letter at the bottom." "My number is still good," I said. "Good to know," she said. "And Thomas, thank you for keeping our line open all these years." I thanked her and hung up. I set an alert on my phone for their deadline. 3 weeks. I sent 2 messages to old coworkers. Not gossip, checklists. Sales tax due the 23rd, 941 deposit by the 15th. No tone, just dates. People like to be warned. Some replied with a heart. One replied with a crying face. I replied with a thumbs up. Then I put the phone face down. I was not done. Day 4 brought the first call, not from my boss. From the bank. A young analyst named Jamal had taken over our line. He needed the borrowing base certificate by Friday at noon, or the line would shrink. He used the tone banks use when they hope you have it handled. "Hi, Thomas. I think you are still the contact on the last file. Is the certificate coming?" "Not from me," I said, "but I can send you a template if that helps." "It helps," he said. I sent the template. I added a note. "If they need help reconciling the in-transit shipments, ask for proof. The lockbox sweep lag hit 5 days last week. Your trailing average will not like it." He replied one word, "Noted." I closed the laptop and went for a walk. Cold air, quiet street. I counted steps to clear my head. I did not plan to sabotage my old company. I did not need to. Calendars do that on their own. On Monday, a friend from accounts payable called me from a personal number. Her whisper was fast and tight. "Thomas, the nephew set payroll as a batch but forgot the tax deposit. We got an IRS notice right now. Small penalty, big problem. He said not to tell my uncle." "Pay the tax, pay the penalty, keep the letter," I said. "What do I tell him?" Tell him you paid it, hand him the receipt and the notice together, tape the notice to the receipt, then go back to work. She laughed once and then sounded like she might cry. I miss you. You miss the checklist, I said. You are the checklist. I was, I said. You are now. The next week, the nephew posted a photo on LinkedIn. Big smile. #modernize. He had a latte and a laptop and a caption about moving fast. I did not comment. I boiled an egg and paid my light bill. On Wednesday, May called me. Thomas, we got a packet from Thompson. It was thin. Thin how? No compliance letter. Insurance cert from last year. The dates do not cover us. If we do not get it by Friday, the PO locks. That stops their shipments. How much volume is open this month? I asked. About $800,000, she said. Do you want to know the funny part? Always. They attached your old letter. The one with your name at the bottom. Send me a copy, I said. She sent it. I read the last line where my name sat like a ghost. Then I sent one email to my old boss. Reminder, Landon Tools requires current certs and a signed compliance letter by Friday at 5. The old letter with my name at the bottom is not valid. He replied 2 words, we know. I clicked my pen. I wrote Friday at 5 in the margin of my notebook. I drew a small box next to it and did not check it yet. On Friday at 3, my phone buzzed. May again. Thomas, they sent another packet. Wrong form. It says they are ISO certified. They are not. They put the logo anyway. I closed my eyes for a second. I saw the nephew dragging a logo into a Word file. I opened my eyes and kept my voice even. May, do what your policy says. Lock the PO at 5 if the file is not correct. We will, she said. Also, our VP asked for your new email, if you have one. I gave it to her. Then I put the phone down and sat very still. The wind moved outside. A truck rolled by. Somewhere a dog barked twice. At 5:15, my old coworker texted me one sentence. Landon locked the PO. I made tea. I did not smile. I did not cheer. I waited. Monday morning at 9, the call came from an unknown number, my old boss. I let it ring once and picked up on the second ring. Thomas, we need the Landon letter today. I assume you can do it. I do not work for you, I said. But you know the system, he said, and they like you. Help us. I will pay your hourly. It is not hourly, I said. It is a packet. It includes the letter, the certs, and the control walkthrough. It is my company now. The price is $15,000, payable on delivery, no net 30, wire only. Silence. Then an old friend in his voice. You have got to be kidding. You fired me on payroll week, I said. You put your nephew in charge of taxes. You sent a logo you did not own. I am not kidding. You would charge me $15,000 for a letter you can write in an hour? You did not hire me for hours. You hire me for compliance. You hire me because $800,000 sits behind a lock that moves only when I sign the paper, and the carrier updates the cert. The price is $15,000. Another silence. Paper sounds. A pen taps. His pride and his cash flow argue. Cash flow wins. Fine, he said. Send the invoice. I sent the invoice. I included wiring instructions. He wired at 11. I saw the funds at 11:05. I started at 11:10. I opened my folder. Insurance. Fresh cert with correct additional insured language. Bank letter confirming lockbox. Control matrix with 3 tests. Vendor, master audit. Background check on the nephew since he was now a key user. I wrote the compliance letter on a clean template. I left the last line blank for the signature. Then I drove to Landon Tools and signed in at the front desk. May met me in the lobby with a smile that showed she had slept poorly. You saved me, she said. You saved you, I said. You followed policy. We walked to the small conference room that smelled like lemon wipes and paper. I laid out the file. She read it with her finger on the line like she always did. She nodded at each section. She made one correction to a date. I fixed it with a pen. She slid the signature page to me. "Sign here," she said. I signed. She scanned the packet to their system. A small tone from her email. "PO unlocked," she said. "Release the held invoices," I said. She clicked. She smiled again. 800,000 wires by end of day. I shook her hand. "Thank you for trusting me." "Thank you for not disappearing," she said. I drove home, past a bank I did not use, past a park I never visit. I went inside and washed my hands. I made a sandwich and ate it standing up. Work has a taste. It is bread and quiet. At 4, my old coworker texted me a photo. A pallet on a dock. A smiling shipper with a thumbs up. Caption, "Moving again." At 5, my boss called again. He sounded tired and new. "Thomas, that was fast. Thank you." "You are welcome," I said. "We may need help with the bank next. They asked for a borrowing base we did not submit on time. Jamal is not kind." "Jamal is kind when you give him clean numbers," I said. "What would that cost?" "5, I said. "Plus you switch your AP to a weekly run and stop cutting cash between accounts. I am not signing my name to float." He laughed without humor. "You always hated the old dance." "I always hated lies," I said. He paid. I delivered. Jamal sent a short email. Approved. Line maintained. The relief in 4 words. I was saving the good part. Week 4, the nephew tried something bold. He told the warehouse manager to skip cycle counts and trust the system. The system trusted what you fed it. He fed it guesses. Inventory grew on paper and shrank on shelves. The variance hit 6 figures on a Tuesday. My phone lit up before lunch. "Thomas, can you come in and help?" the warehouse manager asked. "I will pay you myself if I must." "You will not," I said. "Tell your boss he needs a 3-day count. He will not like it. Tell him I will run it. Do not move a single pallet until we count." My boss called within the hour. 3 days means we miss promised ship dates. 3 days means you do not lie to Landon again, I said. Pick. He picked the count. We found the holes. The nephew blamed the staff. The staff looked at the floor. I watched the nephew. His hands did not like paper. They liked keyboards. I put a pencil in his hand and a page on the table. "Write the part number," I said, "then write the count." He lasted an hour. He went back to his office and closed the door. He did not close the gap. Friday of week 5, the board called me. Not a formal board, a kitchen board, 2 founders, 1 silent partner. They asked me to meet at 7 in the morning at a diner with a good omelet and a cracked sugar jar. They sat with their hats on the table. They were not dressed for show. They looked like old men who built things with salt on their sleeves. "We were wrong," one said without preamble. "We put blood over skill. Can you steady the ship for a season?" "For a price," I said, "and with rules." "Name them." "Control of cash application, sign off on payroll, no side accounts, no surprise loans, no fake logos. I pick the AP clerk and protector. I review every contract above 50,000. I set rules. You keep them." "You will make enemies," one said. "I make checks clear," I said. They nodded. We shook hands. The silent partner slid an envelope across the table. "We cannot pay you what you are worth," he said. "We can give you a seat. Temporary controller. Signer on payroll. 3 months. Market rate. Bonus if covenants hold." I opened the envelope later at home. The numbers were fair. The term was clean. The authority was clear. I signed. They co-signed. It felt like building a bridge with known wood. Monday of week 6. I got the payroll login with signer rights. The nephew had tried to make himself the only approver. The board reversed it by resolution. He sent me a 1-line email. "So you are back." "I never left the math," I replied. Wednesday at noon, my old boss walked into my office with a check request form. He had never carried one to me before. He always sent others. "I need reimbursement for travel and client meals," he said. His voice was smaller. The paper shook a little. "Attach receipts," I said. He placed a thin stack of slips. Some were for meals, some for things that were not meals. I slid the ones that were not meals back to him. "These do not qualify," I said. He colored. "It has been a month," he said. "You know how much I carry." "I know what the policy is," I said. "I wrote it. It protects you too." He stood there. He was not a bad man. He was a man who had made fast choices until the slow ones caught up. "Thomas," he said, "are we still us?" "We were never enemies," I said. "You fired me when it hurt you. I built a list when it helped me. Now I go by rules, and you get paid when you follow them." He nodded once. He signed where he had to sign. He left. I keyed the proper amounts into the batch. Friday came. Payroll day. 59 employees. Taxes funded. Deductions correct. Vendor match for the 401k restored after a pause the nephew had made without telling people. I printed the final register. I signed the transmittal. The system asked for the final approval and a wet signature for one manual check. One name. My boss. He had changed to salaried with a smaller number during the cleanup. He had agreed to it to keep the bank calm. I filled his name on the check. I looked at the amount. Fair. Earned. I signed it. My hand did not shake. I carried the envelope to his office. He was alone. He looked up. He saw what it was and sat back in his chair. "You are signing my paycheck," he said. The words were part awe and part lesson. "I am signing a lot of paychecks," I said. "This one is yours." He took it. He turned it over once. He did not joke. He did not pout. He stood and offered his hand. "Thomas," he said, "I was wrong." "You were fast," I said. "Fast is not the same as right." He nodded. We stood there a moment in a quiet that had weight but not hate. I left his office and walked past the nephew's door. It was empty. The desk was clean. The blazer was gone. The board had moved him to a rotation in shipping. He would learn inventory by touching it. Or he would leave. That part was not my work. I went back to my small office. The window looked at a brick wall. I liked it. A brick wall is honest. It says what it is and holds still. I checked the bank portal one more time. Taxes funded. Vendors scheduled. The borrowing base clean. A message from Jamal. Good work. Covenant met. I chose one motivator line for myself and did not say it out loud. Now came the expensive lesson. Weeks later, Landon Tools signed a 2-year renewal with a small clause I wrote. If compliance lapses, they can pull the contract in 7 days and call me first. Not because I am special, because I answer the phone and bring the folder. I did not raise my voice, I raised the stakes. The next Monday, I walked the floor with a small notepad. I did not announce it, I did not hold a meeting. I watched how the work moved. The receiving clerk checked in boxes by memory. He trusted the driver. He did not count. The label printer jammed every 20 minutes. No one cleaned the rollers. The warehouse lead had a clipboard with a cracked corner. He used his own marks for short picks and back orders. Good man. Bad system. I asked for 10 minutes. He gave me 10. I drew a simple map. 4 rows. 5 bins each. I wrote the part numbers he touched each day on small cards. We stuck the cards to the bins with blue tape. When you pull, I said, flip the card and write the count left. He nodded. Simple beats perfect when you are tired. At lunch, I sat with the AP clerk. Her name is Ruthie. She had a sandwich and a worry. Vendors call, she said. They ask for money we do not have yet. We have a schedule, I said. You and I will run it. We will not lie. We will not hide. We will call in the morning. We will pay on Friday. Same time each week. We will post the list where we can both see it. She smiled at that last part. On paper, she said. On paper, I said. I wrote 3 columns. Vendor. Amount. Friday, yes or no. We put the names that keep us alive at the top. Steel. Freight. Heat. Then the ones that keep the lights on. In the mines that matter. PPE. Coffee. Small tools. I drew a line. I said, these get paid this Friday. The rest call me. Her shoulders dropped an inch. It is a lot to carry a list alone. By midweek, the bank sent the monthly covenant sheet. Fixed charge coverage. Current ratio. Inventory turns. Jamal did not write a speech. He sent the numbers we owed him and the boxes we had to fill. I did not make a deck. I made a table. Beginning cash. Receipts. Disbursements. True payroll cost with taxes. I added a new line they had not seen on our package before. Late fees avoided. I totaled it. It was not small. At 3 p.m, I asked the shipping lead for a clean dock photo. Pallets wrapped, labels on, no loose strap ends. He sent one. It looked like work that keeps a company. I dropped it into the bank file under a small note. Operation steady. 5 minutes later, Jamal replied, "Thank you. Looks good." You do not always need a paragraph. Sometimes you need a picture and a line that says nothing extra. Thursday night, the nephew sent a company-wide email, a new expense app. He said it would streamline and empower. He did not set rules. He did not set limits. He did not define what happens if a claim is late or wrong. Friday morning, my inbox filled with auto alerts, dozens of cards linked. Old charges pulled in like fish in a net. No one checked the tags. No one locked categories. It looked fast until you tried to post to the ledger. I walked into his glass office. He wore a bright shirt and a smile for a different kind of company. "This app will save Ruthie hours," he said. "Ruthie does not need a new app," I said. "She needs clean receipts and the same rule for every person." "We need modern tools," he said. "We need to use the ones we have," I said. "Turn off auto-import, lock categories, set a 30-day cutoff. No receipt means no reimbursement. State it in one sentence. Send it to all. Then do it." He did not like the tone. He liked the rule less. He sent the email anyway. We got less noise that afternoon and more clean slips on Monday. He called it a win in the staff chat. I called it Tuesday. Week 7, the auditors arrived. 2 people, one with a calm face and a pen that clicked. One with a quick face and a keyboard that made a tilt sound on each line. They asked for the PBC list. They wanted bank recs, revenue samples, vendor master changes, and user access reports. I printed the list they sent. I wrote dates next to each line. I wrote names. I circled the ones that hurt if late. I gave the nephew a small pack of easy tasks. It was not a slight. It was a choice. He needed a win he could not ruin. He took the pile and went back to his office. He returned with 1 thing done and 3 things half done. "They will not care about perfection," he said. "They care about the story." "They care about the numbers," I said, "and the story the numbers tell." I sat with the auditors in a room that had a view of a brick wall like mine. I like brick. They liked coffee. I poured 2 paper cups and put the sugar near the edge where they could reach it without asking. We started with cash. We matched the lockbox report to the bank credit, to the ledger, to the customer remittance. I pointed to a week in the last quarter when the sweep lagged. I did not hide it. I explained why. They nodded. I did not sell a speech. I showed a line. We moved to revenue. They picked 20 invoices. Landon made the list twice. The day the PO closed. The day it reopened. The test showed the lock and the unlock. It also showed our error with the wrong logo. We did not flinch. We filed the fix. In Vendor Master, we found a duplicate vendor with an extra space in the name. It had 1 payment, $99. A test run. I asked Ruthie about it. She did not blink. He tried to pay his own card to test the app, she said. I stopped it and wrote him up. It is not in the batch. The auditor clicked his pen, then stopped. "Who is he?" he asked. "Family," I said. I did not add a word. They asked for the user access report. I gave it to them and a new sheet. It showed who approved what and when. It showed that I now signed payroll and that 2 other people had to approve wires if I was not here. I drew a small map of the control, 4 boxes, 2 arrows. They smiled. They like maps too. We finished the week with a small list of fixes. Nothing that would break a covenant. Nothing that would wake a regulator. The lead auditor stood and shook my hand. "Good work," she said. "Tell your bank your house is in order." "I will tell them you said we are on the path," I said. She laughed. "People who see a lot of houses like that line." Monday of week 8, the problem I knew would come finally arrived. Not a big thing. A small thing that makes people loud. Sales missed a promise to a new customer. They blamed shipping. Shipping blamed supply. Supply blamed AP for holding a vendor check. AP blamed cash. Cash looked at me. The floor got noisy. I did not. I wrote 4 words on a whiteboard. What is the fact? We went around the loop, one by one. No speeches, no heat. The fact was simple. The part was not on hand. The system said it was. The cycle count had not hit that bin yet. We had a number that was not true. The nephew spoke up from his corner seat. We should get a new system, he said. We should feed the one we have, I said. We should count the bin. We should post the truth. We did that. The truth was short. The truth stung. We shipped late. We called the client. We gave no story. We gave a date that was real. The client did not love us. He did not leave either. That night, I sent 1 email to the founders. Noise on the floor came from 1 weak bin. We counted it. We set a rule. We moved on. One founder wrote back after midnight, "Thank you for not writing a book." Week 9 brought a request from Landon. They planned a vendor day, 10 key suppliers. Plant tour, short talk, Q&A. They wanted me there with the owner. My boss looked at the invite like it might bite him. "You should speak," he said. "You should stand next to me," I said. We drove over in a truck that had seen salt. The lot was full. Inside, a table with name tags and a woman with a neat voice. We put on safety glasses and hairnets that made us look like men who did not care how we looked. We walked the line. Clean floors, clear lines, good light, parts that fit together. In a small room after the tour, the Landon VP said a few words. Then he waved to us. "Tell us how you got back on your feet," he said. I did not talk about the nephew. I did not talk about the box on my desk. I talked about a lockbox and a small team and a rule set you could write on a napkin. Money in the bank by noon, I said. Weekly pay run. 1 truth in inventory. 2 people who sign. Phones answered by a person, not a menu. That is it. People nodded. They asked 3 questions. Late fees. Freight surcharges. Holiday runs. I gave 3 short answers with numbers. On the way out, the VP pulled me aside. "We like how you think," he said. "We added a line in our system. If we get scared again, we call you before we pull the plug." "That is worth more than a compliment," I said. "It is a clause," he said. "Use it well." In the truck, my boss looked out the window for a long time. Then he said, "I thought control was about saying no. You make it about saying yes to the right things." "Control is about truth," I said. "Truth lets you say yes without fear." We drove back in quiet, the good kind. The next week, the silent partner asked me to join a board session. Not a diner this time. A small room with a long table and water and thick glasses. He had a folder with my name on it. He pushed it across the table. "We want you for a year," he said. "Controller on retainer with a right to say no when no is correct. Teach us how to keep this without you. That is the job." "Teach you out of me," I said. "Yes," he said. "Make yourself not needed." "That is my favorite job," I said. The nephew sat 2 seats down. He looked at me, and then at his hands. He had lost 15 pounds and most of his bright talk. He did not hate me. He hated that the world kept score. He cleared his throat. "I want to stay," he said. "In shipping, on the floor. I want to learn how the counts work. I want to understand the map." The founders looked at me. I looked at the nephew. I was not his judge. I was a man with a ledger and a calendar. "Bring me your bin map on Friday," I said. "No speech. 10 bins. Counts that tie. If you can do that for 6 weeks with no misses, we talk about the office." He nodded. His jaw set. It might hold. It might not, the test would say. By month 3, the company felt different. Not pretty, not fancy, honest. The board met on time. Jamal stopped calling on Fridays because he trusted Monday to bring what he needed. Ruthie smiled more. The warehouse crew stuck blue cards without me asking. The shipping lead sent doc photos with no prompt. I kept a small ritual. At the end of each week, I wrote one page in the yellow notebook. Wins, misses, one number that mattered, one person to thank. I tore the page and left it on my boss's chair when I left. He did not reply. He did not need to. He kept the pages in a drawer. The stack grew. Quarter end came. We closed in 4 days. Not 2 weeks, not 5, 4. The auditor sent a short note. No adjustments. That is a kind of music. On the 5th day, my old boss knocked on my door. He did not wait for me to say, "Come in." He held a plain envelope. "This came today," he said. "It is for you." I opened it. A letter from the bank. Not Jamal. His boss. A formal note with simple words. "We approve your continuing role as controller and signer. We appreciate the improved reporting. We want to discuss a lower rate at renewal." Lower rate. That is respect in a suit. My boss sat down. He looked at the letter. He looked at me. "Thomas," he said, "thank you." "You hired me," I said. "I fired you," he said. "You hired me again, in the way that matters," I said. He smiled, but there was a line of shame that did not move. He had earned it the hard way. He also earned a little peace by not hiding from it. The next week, a package arrived at my small office. No return address. Inside was a coffee mug with a print that made me laugh. I sign paychecks and break late fees. There was a note. 2 words. For Friday. I poured coffee in it each Friday at 8. I looked at the bank portal. I ran the pay batch. I watched the tax deposit clear. I checked the wire list for trick lines. There were none. On a quiet afternoon, the shipping lead sent me a photo. 10 bins, 10 cards, 10 counts that tied to the sheet, a hand in the frame with a thumb up. The nephew's hand. He had dirt under his nails. That matters more than a blazer. He stopped by my office at the end of that day. He did not sit. He stood in the doorway like a student who wants to say one thing and leave. "I did not respect the work," he said. "I thought speed was the same as skill. I was wrong." "Speed is a tool," I said. "Skill is the hand that holds it." He nodded. He said nothing else. He left. He went back to the floor. He had bins to count. A month later, Landon sent over the renewal. 2 years. Clean term. A clause that let them pull if we lied. I like that clause. It keeps you honest. We had a small gathering by the loading dock when the first pallet under the new term rolled out. No speeches. A pizza box on a rolling cart. Paper plates. The smell of yeast and oil and floor cleaner. People laughed, low and tired and real. I stood back. I watched hands move boxes and pull wrap and check labels. Work looks like that when it is right. My boss came over with 2 plates and a napkin folded neat. He handed me one and kept one. 6 weeks ago you signed my paycheck, he said. I did not like how that felt. Today I like that you signed them. I signed for the people on that dock, I said. Your name is just one of the names. He took a bite. He chewed. He looked at the crew. He nodded at a joke I did not hear. We finished our slices. He tossed the plate. He put his hands on his hips and breathed out slow. I think we might make it, he said. We will, I said. He started to walk away. Then he turned back. Thomas, he said, you kept the numbers. You kept the people. You kept the promise. I kept the keys and the quiet, I said. He smiled at that. He went to thank the crew. I went back to my small office with the brick view. I sat. I opened the yellow notebook. I wrote 3 lines. What do I know? Who needs it? When do they need it? I closed the cover. The clock on the wall ticked. The bank portal sat open with a green bar that said funded. The blue cards in the bins waited to be flipped on Monday. The coffee mug cooled by my hand. Week 10 started with rain that did not stop for 2 days. The roof held. The dock door did not. A thin line of water slid under the rubber and made a trail to the floor drain. The shipping lead put cones down. He wiped the line with a towel like a man who knows a small leak becomes a big bill if you let it. I walked the edge of the building and checked the seams. The metal flashed silver where the screws showed. This was not my job. It was my habit. Numbers live in rooms. Rooms need care. I stopped at the front office and looked at the lease pinned on the wall inside a plastic sleeve. The date said renewal in 6 months. The landlord was Harbor Ridge Properties. The address was a P.O. box in town. I took a photo of the first page. I do that when a piece of paper might matter later. I do not know when. I just know it will. Inside, the day filled itself. Freight, quote, steel surcharge. A new insurance rider that added pennies but saved dollars when a crate fell. The small moves add up. The big ones do not need help. At noon, Jamal called me about a rate grid. Not our rate, our neighbors. He was shopping the area. I asked him why he was telling me. "You keep me honest," he said. "I like that." After he hung up, I opened the county site and checked property records like an old habit. I looked up Harbor Ridge. I looked up our parcel. I looked up the last sale. The owner's name was not a company. It was a person. A widow. Her name was Margaret Keegan. I wrote it down. I wrote a second note. Lease renewal, 6 months. I did not do anything else with it. Not then. The nephew brought me a printed sheet after lunch. 10 bins, 10 counts, all tied. He did not grin. He did not preen. He put the sheet on my desk and waited. "Good," I said. "Do it again next week." He nodded and left. His shoulders stood straighter than the week before, dirt under the nails, the right kind. The founders stopped by my office at 4 and leaned on the doorframe like men who had stood in a lot of doorframes. They asked how much cash I thought we could save if we got the freight carriers to lock a quarterly fuel cap. I said a number. They whistled low and left to call a man they knew who liked steady. That night I put the yellow notebook on my kitchen table and drew a small triangle. Bank, customer, building. Under each point I wrote one thing I could do that did not hurt people. For bank, I wrote, short close, no lies. For customer, I wrote, clauses that keep us honest. For building, I wrote, know the landlord. I closed the book and made soup. The next week, Landon sent a note. A team from their HQ wanted to visit us for a quality walk. 3 people. 1 from purchasing, 1 from quality, 1 from legal. My boss read the names and rubbed the bridge of his nose. "We are fine," I said. "I know," he said. "I just do not like when legal comes." "Legal is just a person with a folder," I said. "We have our own folder." We prepared like we always do. We did not stage. We cleaned the floor. We checked the eye wash stations. We tested the label printer that loved to jam. It jammed once. We cleaned the rollers. We wrote the model number down so we could order a spare. The small things first. The rest follows. They came on a Wednesday. Their legal person was a woman named Alice Snow. She shook hands like she counted seconds only once. Her eyes saw corners. I like people who see corners. They keep you from tripping. We walked the plant. She asked short questions. She looked at our dock. She looked at our racks. She asked to see our vendor master procedure. I put the sheet down on a table near the dock, because paper reads better near work. She read the lines. She ran a finger under a sentence about who can add a new vendor. "Good," she said. "We have seen bad." She turned a page. She looked at the access map with the 4 boxes and 2 arrows. She nodded. She wrote a note. Back in the small room, she opened her folder and put one document on the table. "We have a renewal draft," she said. 2-year term, standard service level. 1 clause I want to explain. She read it out loud. It said if our compliance lapses, if we lie, if our counts fail because of a control we break on purpose, Landon can pull with 7 days' notice. It also said one more line. It said the compliance agent of record must be named and must sign the annual letter. The name was not a title. It was a person. It was me. My boss read the line and blinked. He did not look at me. He looked at the wall. He knows how walls hold roofs. "That line is for our risk team," Alice said. "We will remove it if you prefer. It makes us less safe, not more. Your numbers look clean because of that man's work." We like naming the thing that keeps it clean. We will keep it, my boss said. His voice did not shake. He was learning to say yes to the right things. We signed a draft to show intent. The formal came later. Landon left. We walked the floor again. The nephew was putting blue cards on a new row. He did not see us. He was counting. That night I opened the county site again. Margaret Keegan, Harbor Ridge. There was a new filing, a notice to sell a small portfolio to pay estate taxes. 10 parcels. Ours was one. A contact name, a lawyer I knew from the bank side. I wrote the number down. I did not dial it. I closed the laptop and washed the cup from dinner, and let the water run a little too long because the sound in an empty kitchen is a thing that makes your shoulders drop. I was not done. 2 days later, Jamal asked me to lunch. He picked a small place near the bank. Soup, half sandwich. The kind of lunch where people talk right away because the food is simple. I am moving to a new group, he said. A promotion. I will still cover you through the review. Good, I said. You like clean math. Do not forget. He smiled. Then he leaned in. The building. I think it is on a list. If you ever want an intro, I can ask the portfolio guy to call you before it hits a broker. I want one thing, I said. I want a fair price and a fair lease for the company. I do not want to squeeze them. I want to protect the dock from a landlord who likes late fees. He nodded. You really are not like the people who call me for this, he said. I like roofs that do not leak, I said. He set up the call. The portfolio guy was named Russell. He used simple words. He sent one PDF. Price. Terms. The old lease. The tax bill. I printed it. I got in my truck and drove to see Margaret at the address on the record. A small white house with a maple and a flag and a mailbox that leaned a little. A nurse answered. She is resting, the nurse said. Who are you? A tenant, I said. A man who wants to keep the lights on and the rent fair. The nurse looked at me and made a decision. Come back at 3, she said. Bring a letter, 1 page, big words, short lines. I went to my kitchen. I took a pen. I wrote a letter, 1 page, big words, short lines. My name, who I was, what I wanted, that I would not raise their rent for 2 years, that I would keep the roof, that I would give the current tenants an option to renew, that I would pay cash and not make noise. I went back at 3. Margaret sat in a chair near a window with a blanket over her legs and bright eyes that had seen more roofs than me. She read the letter. She asked one question. Will they be safe? She said. Yes, I said. I sign their checks. I keep their numbers. I will not trap them. Then buy it, she said. I liked your letter. We signed a simple agreement with Russell later that week. The bank wired. I put my name and a new small company name on a deed that does not brag. I sent the founders a letter that night. 3 lines. I am the new landlord. Your rent stays fair. Your roof gets fixed in spring. My phone did not ring for a long time. Then it did. The silent partner. He asked one thing. Are we safe? He said. Yes, I said. Safer than with a stranger. He grunted. Good, he said. Thank you. I put the deed in a folder with the lease. I wrote the date on the tab. I did not tell the floor. I did not tell the nephew. I kept the keys in the quiet. Spring came. We patched the dock door seal. We put 2 new stripes in the lot. We painted a yellow line where the forklifts like to drift. Small things, again. The right kind. The Landon Renewal came for signatures. We signed our side and waited. A week passed. 2. Their legal asked for 1 more doc, a short one. Proof that our compliance agent of record was still in role for a year. They wanted my signature. I signed. I sent. The board met on a Thursday morning. Breakfast tacos. Coffee. The silent partner put a small envelope on the table. New term with Landon, he said. Clause with Thomas by name. We need him. We should set terms. He read a short list. It was not a demand sheet. It was a thank you sheet. Controller retainer for 1 year, he said. Bonus tied to covenant. Raise for Ruthie. Training budget for the warehouse. A small stock grant for Thomas if he wants it, or a cash equivalent if he does not. I looked at the stock grant. It was not large. It did not need to be. I slid it back. Give the shares to an employee trust, I said. Let it vest for the crew. Keep my part cash. Hire a second AP clerk so Ruthie can go home before dark. They nodded. They wrote it down. It felt like breathing when the window opens. Landon signed. The wire hit. The plant ran. The bank smiled in an email. Life held. Then the call I had been waiting for came on a Monday at 9. My old boss asked me to step into his office and close the door. He did not look sick. He looked like a man who had walked uphill and saw the top. I got an offer, he said. A buyer. A small group. They like our book. They do not like the clause with your name. They want to remove it. Then they do not buy, I said. He rubbed his face. I knew you would say that, he said. They said they would keep you if you keep quiet and sign whatever they bring. I do not keep quiet, I said. I keep clean. He sat. He looked at his hands. He looked at the window. He looked at me. I fired you, he said. Then I asked you back. Then you signed my check. You could ruin me with one email. You never did. You wanted to protect the doc, not hurt me. The doc is the truth, I said. He slid an envelope across the desk. It was heavy. I did not open it. What is it? I said. My number if we sell, he said. A fair number. But I do not like the buyer. I do not like their talk. They like the kind of tricks we just killed. I would rather sell to someone who knows how to use a broom. Then do not sell to them, I said. Who do I sell to? He said. Landon will not buy a shop like ours. I did not answer. Not yet. He asked one more question. If you owned this place, what would you do on day one? He said. I would put new rollers in the label printer, I said. He laughed. He needed that. He did not know why I did not answer the first question. I walked the floor after. I watched how the steel came in. I watched how the jobs flowed. I watched the blue cards flip. I watched a man called Miguel fix a strap with one hand while he kept a sheet from falling with the other. This is what a company is. People who keep things from falling. I stood by the dock door where the seal still let in a fine line of light. The shipping lead looked at it and said, Spring. The repair guy is slow. He will come, I said. He looked at me like he knew something he did not say. Then he smiled and turned to a crate. That night I called Alice Snow at Landon. I do not call legal at 9 at night unless it is clean. She picked up on the second ring. Thomas, she said. Is this urgent? It is quiet, urgent, I said, not loud. Those are my favorite, she said. I want to ask a question with no promise inside, I said. If a shop like ours wanted a partner, not a buyer, would Landon listen? A prepay against a long term at a fair rate. Control stays here, the dock keeps running, you get supply, we get the fuel. She did not answer for a second. I heard paper move. We would listen, she said. We do not want to run plants, we want them not to fail. Good, I said. Let me think for a day. The next day, I called the silent partner. I asked him to meet me at the diner. He came with a hat and a look that said he likes quiet plans that work. I want to show you a map, I said. I drew a triangle on a napkin. Bank, customer, building. I put numbers at the corners that he could see without glasses. I wrote one word by each side. Trust. I want to build a small trust inside this company, I said. Employee units, not big shares. A cash prepay from Landon that we earn by shipping on time. A rate cut from the bank tied to our clean month. A lease renewal that locks their rent and our costs. We keep the owner's name on the door while we move him toward a chair with less weight. We do not sell to a group that likes tricks. We sell to time. He laughed with his eyes. You want to make the company itself do the buying. Yes, I said. Slow, clean. We can do it by paper. No balloons, no parades. Will he do it? He asked. He will if he can sleep, I said. We made calls. We met in small rooms. Alice drew a prepay that did not choke. Jamal promised a rate grid that slid if we held our covenants. The lease had a new line that gave the company 2 renewals at a fair increase and gave me the right to fix things fast and bill at cost. The trust doc took 2 drafts. The lawyers used words like unit and vest and call. I made them write a plain summary for the crew. They rolled their eyes and did it anyway. When it was ready, I asked my boss to walk with me. "Where?" he said. "Across the lot," I said. We crossed to the small door that leads upstairs, the door that says management on a metal plate with a dent. The stair creaked on the 3rd step. It always has. I like that creak. It tells me the place is honest. I unlocked the door at the top with a key I had not used in front of him before. He watched my hand and then my face. "You have a key," he said. "I have a lot of keys," I said. Inside was a small room with a window that faced the street and a table with 3 chairs, and the view of 2 maples and a truck lot and the top of a church. There was a folder on the table, 3 folders, stacked. I did not sit. I stood with my hands on the back of a chair. "You asked me who to sell to," I said. "The answer is not a group that likes tricks, and not a giant who will move the dock to a place that does not like snow. The answer is us." I opened the first folder. The land and prepay. $2 million, earned over 2 years. A carrot, not a collar. I opened the second folder. Jamal's rate grid. A cut that bought us a new press and savings alone if we kept our covenants. I opened the third folder. The trust. 10% of the company, over 5 years to an employee pool. Vests with time and attendance. No one can sell. It pays out only on a sale or a long retirement. He read the first page of each. He did not talk. He touched the paper like a person who knows paper can be a life. He looked up. "Who owns the building?" he said. "Harbor Ridge Properties sold," I said. "The new owner will sign the lease you hold. He will not raise your rent outside the term. He will fix what leaks. He likes docks. He drinks his coffee at the same time every Friday." He stared at me. He understood. He leaned back and sat down slowly. "You bought the building," he said. "I made sure we had a landlord who cares if the floor dries," I said. He rubbed his face with both hands and then put his hands flat on the table. He laughed once, a sound without mean in it. "You were always 5 moves ahead," he said. "I never saw it. I thought you were just a ledger with a tie." "I am a ledger with a broom," I said. He picked up a pen. He signed the prepay agreement. He signed the bank term sheet. He signed the lease with the renewal. He signed the trust. He did not sign his own exit. He did not need to. We were not doing that today. He pushed the pen back. He looked at the view. He looked at the maples. He looked at me. "Does this count as revenge?" he said. "It counts as a price," I said. "You fired me like I was air. Now you pay a fair rate for the air you breathe. You pay it to your people. You pay it to your plant. You pay it to the bank that trusted you again because I asked." He nodded. He stood. He put his hand out. We shook. It was the shake you give when you know the other person will show up on Monday. We walked back down the stairs. The third step creaked. He smiled at the sound like it had a joke inside. At the bottom, the nephew waited by the blue card shelf like a student at office hours. "Counts tied," he said. He held up the sheet, 10 of 10. He did not look at my boss. He looked at me because he knew the old rules had returned, and the sheet means the floor gets to rest on Friday. "Good," I said. "Turn in the cards and go help on dock 2. He nodded and jogged off. Dirt under the nails. Still there. That night, I made a list for the morning. I slept like an engine that knows the next shift will fill the cylinders. Morning came with sun on the brick wall and birds that sounded like small rivets. I made coffee and looked at the bank portal. Green bars in the right place. I checked the payroll batch. It was set. Taxes funded. I printed the transmittal and signed it. I wrote a small note on a sticky for Ruthie. "You did this. Proud." I walked to my boss's office with one envelope under my arm. He was at his desk with his hands on a stack of invoices like he was saying a small prayer over them. He looked up. He smiled. It was the smile of a man who had slept like a person who does not count wolves. "Ready," I said. "Ready," he said. I set the envelope on his desk. He slid one finger under the flap and lifted it. Inside was a check, not payroll, the quarterly profit share for the trust, the first one. The amount was not huge. It was real. The names of the crew were listed on a sheet behind it. $10 here, $200 there. A little on a first run. The sheet had one line at the bottom that said how much the trust held now. It would grow. He looked at the list. He put a hand over his mouth. His eyes went wet. He put the list down and tapped the names with a knuckle like he was saying each one out loud without sound. We walked to the dock with the envelope. No speech. I handed the envelope to the shipping lead. He took it and looked at me and looked at my boss and then at the crew. He lifted the flap and saw the sheet. He let out a noise that made 3 men turn their heads. "What is that?" one asked. "Something we earned," he said. We did not clap. We did not crow. We went back to work. Forklifts hummed. Tapes snapped. The printer did not jam. The light in the dock door seal showed only where the gap was thin. The repair guy called at 10 and said he was late. He would be there by noon. He was. By afternoon, the Landon wire came for the prepay. It hit the bank, and then the ledger, and then the mines that had to buy steel next week. The bank sent a simple message. Rate grid accepted. Good quarter. At 3, a courier from Landon came with the final signed renewal. 2 years. The clause with my name. I took it to the small room upstairs with the view and put it next to a folder with a deed and a lease and a trust. I wrote today's date on the tab. At 4, payroll ran. I checked the manual check stack, one for a man who missed his direct deposit form, one for an advance for a woman whose car broke and needed a belt before Friday, and one more. My boss. He had taken a smaller salary and had earned a small bonus back with the covenants we kept. The numbers were fair. I signed the manual checks. My hand did not shake. I put my boss's in an envelope and walked it to his office. He held it for a second. He looked at my signature. He looked at me. 6 weeks after you fired me, I said, I signed the piece of paper you needed to move $800,000. Today, I am signing the piece of paper you need to pay your own house. The difference between those 2 papers is the lesson. He nodded. He did not argue. He stood. He reached out his hand again. We shook. It held. I turned to leave and stopped at the door. I did not plan this line. It came up from the place where numbers become sentences. You can keep saying I am replaceable, I said. The roof knows better. He laughed and shook his head. Get out of here, he said. I have a crew to thank. I went back to my small office with the brick view. I sat. I opened the yellow notebook. I read the first 3 lines I had written on the day they fired me. What do I know? Who needs it? When do they need it? I added a 4th line. Who owns the roof? I closed the book and put my hand on it like you do when you make a promise to yourself. The day ended the way I like, with work done and no one shouting, with a plant that smells like cardboard and oil and clean coffee, with a dock door seal that will not leak when spring rain comes hard. On the way out, the nephew was sweeping a corner where dust likes to hide. He looked up. Good day, he said. Good day, I said. He hesitated. Thank you for not taking my job, he said. I did not take your job, I said. I gave you work. Work keeps a man. He nodded. He looked at the broom he kept sweeping. I locked the front door. I turned and looked at the sign with our name. It is not a fancy sign. It is clean and straight. It says who we are. I put my keys in my pocket. There were more keys than there used to be. Some for doors, some for accounts, some for people who trust me to open and then close when it is time. I went home. I washed my hands. I made tea. I sat at the small table where the box had sat when he fired me. I looked at the chair across from me and did not see a ghost. I saw a man with a pen and a plan. This is where it turns. A week later, the buyer with the tricks sent a final email. He said he would pay a number that looked big if we dropped the clause with my name and let him streamline. My boss forwarded it to me. He did not ask for my advice. He did not need to. He knew. He replied to the buyer with one line, "We are not for you." He pressed send and leaned back and did not look back. We did not sell. We did something harder. We kept. We paid. We counted. We signed. The twist, when it came, did not shout. It sat on a line in a deed and a lease and a contract. It said that the man you fired signed your paycheck and your lease and the clause that keeps your largest customer. It said that replaceable is a word for people who do not know where the roof leaks. I did not raise my voice. I raised the stakes. I kept the keys and the quiet. Hid. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe and join Taste of Revenge family, and share your impressions of the story in the comments. To listen the next story, click on one of the boxes on the right. Thank you for watching to the end.